Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Friday, March 20th, 2015, around 7:05 in the morning, Billerica, Massachusetts. It's going to be a sunny and cloudy day today. Maybe tonight we could see some snowflakes, and it's the first day of spring. So I have the snowflakes right now, but this is the last time I'm going to do it for a while, because hopefully we're going to get spring-like weather. Some news to report: the Ottawa Senators beat the Boston Bruins by a score of 6-4. Senators only 2 points out of the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. And also, Kentucky's Wildcats men's basketball team 35-0 now. They won their first round game easily over Hampton. And the University of North Carolina barely beat Harvard by the score of 67-65 last night in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. A lot of nail-biters the night session of the NCAA men's basketball tournament last night. And happy 67th birthday to the best defenseman in National Hockey League history, number 4, Bobby Orr of the Boston Bruins. And also, happy 56th birthday to the franchise of the old WCW, Sting. And 21 years ago today was the best WrestleMania match of all time. At WrestleMania 10 at Madison Square Garden, Razor Ramon against Shawn Michaels, a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. That's about it on that. My first video subject of the day is a continuation of reviewing every WrestleMania, the WWE's granddaddy of them all pay-per-views. This WrestleMania I'm reviewing is WrestleMania 7, Stars and Stripes Forever, which happened on March 24th, 1991 at the LA Sports Arena. Originally, it was going to be at the LA Memorial Coliseum. The main event was Hulk Hogan defending America against the WWE champion Sergeant Slaughter, who was an American turncoat and an Iraqi sympathizer. Originally, the event was going to be at the LA Memorial Coliseum. That was going to seat over 100,000, but storyline says they were afraid of attacks at the LA Memorial Coliseum. But in reality, poor ticket sales. But by January 1991, the advance ticket sales was only about 20,000. They were going to seat 100,000, and the WWE was not going to give out 80,000 free tickets to fill up the arena, because they would lose a boatload of money. So they moved it to the smaller sports arena in Los Angeles. And this WrestleMania 7 had 14 matches plus a dark match. Calling the action was Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. But for one match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was calling one, and another one, Lord Alfred Hayes, because Bobby the Brain Heenan was still a manager then. And also celebrities in attendance were Willie Nelson, who sang America the Beautiful. They had like celebrities in it participating in WrestleMania 7 were Marla Maples, model, former Mrs. Donald Trump, as a special guest ring announcer and a special guest interviewer. No, she was the timekeeper. The ring announcer was Jeopardy host Alex Trebek, and guest commentating was Regis Philbin on the WrestleMania 7 main event. And also in attendance were Donald Trump and actor Lou Ferrigno and Chuck Norris and Macaulay Culkin and Henry Winkler and the late great Chris Kanyon. Who's Better Than Kanyon was in attendance of WrestleMania 7. And here's the card for WrestleMania 7. The dark match was Coco Beware beating the Brooklyn Brawler. This was just seen to the Los Angeles crowd. And here's what happened at the pay-per-view. The Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, beat Haku and the Barbarian, with Bobby the Brain Heenan in the corner. Haku and Barbarian were managed by Heenan, at the time part of the Heenan family. This was a solid tag team match. Rockers won in about close to 11 minutes when Shawn Michaels delivered a cross-body lock to Haku and Marty Jannetty used a Mitchell dropkick. Great match by the Rockers. Another solid opener for them in a pay-per-view. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was guest commentating this match because Bobby the Brain Heenan was at ringside. The second match was the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, wrestling against Dino Bravo. This with Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hart in his corner. This was about a 4-minute match. Texas Tornado wins with the discus punch, or it's called the Tornado Punch in the WWE, and the claw. This was, decent match. And the next match was the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, facing off against the Warlord with Slick in his corner. This was a great power match. British Bulldog won after he got out of Warlord full Nelson, and he got out of a power slam and did his own power slam to the Warlord. Very solid match. The next match was for the WWE World Tag Team titles. It was the Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart, against the Nasty Boys, Knobs and Sags, with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, the referee. This was an awesome tag team match, and at the ending, saw the Hart Foundation put the Hart attack on Knobs, but the referee was distracted by Bret the Hitman Hart, and Sags hits Anvil with Jimmy Hart's motorcycle helmet, and Knobs pins him 1, 2, 3, and the Nasty Boys are new WWE Tag Team Champions. This was the last tag team match that the Hart Foundation, Anvil, and Bret would team up, because Bret Hart would go on to a singles career in the WWE while Neidhart went into the broadcasting booth. This was a solid match. Bret the Hitman Hart says this was one of the best tag team matches he was ever in. The next match was the blindfold match between Jake the Snake Roberts and Rick the Model Martel to culminate their feud, which started on the Brother Love show in October 1990, when the Model blinded Jake the Snake with arrogance, his cologne, and they had a big feud. And the storyline says the Model did not read the fine print. It was a blindfold match, and both wrestlers had to have hoods, which they couldn't see and stuff. But in reality, maybe they could have seen anyway, because of the blindfolds they could have had some special thing. The crowd was really behind Jake the Snake in this, and the Jake the Snake won this match. This was probably one of the best matches that Jake the Snake's ever wrestled. The crowd was behind him. This was the peak of his face popularity. Afterwards, Jake the Snake stomped on arrogance and scared the Model Rick Martel away from the ring with Damien the Snake. Great match. Next match was The Undertaker with Paul Bearer in his corner against Superfly Jimmy Snuka. This match was kind of a squash by The Undertaker. This was his first WrestleMania match. He beat Snuka with the Tombstone Piledriver in about 5 minutes, and Undertaker's 1-0 in WrestleMania. Next match was the retirement match for Career vs. Career. The Ultimate Warrior against Macho King Randy Savage with Sensational Queen Sherri in his corner. Monsoon and Heenan was saying, they pointed out to the crowd, Miss Elizabeth was in attendance watching this match. And this was an awesome match. Probably one of the top 10 best matches in WrestleMania history. Back and forth between the Warrior and Macho King. Warrior almost walked out of the match. Almost got himself counted out because he couldn't take it anymore. It was back and forth. Warrior survived several elbow drops by Macho King Randy Savage, and then he beat him by putting his foot on top of Macho King. 1, 2, 3, in a match that lasted over 20 minutes. And the crowd was going wild. After the match, Sensational Queen Sherri got mad at Macho King, because she lost a meal ticket. Beating him up, and then Miss Elizabeth comes in and beats up Sherri, and then Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth hug, and the fans were going wild. This was a highlight of WrestleMania. The next match was a tag team match. It was Tenryu and Kateo, a Japanese tag team, against Demolition, Smash and Crush with Mr. Fuji in their corner. This was only about a 5-minute match. Tenryu won by giving Smash a powerbomb. Demolition was being phased out because they gave notice that they were leaving the WWE, so they were being jobbed out. The next match was for the Intercontinental title. It was the Big Boss Man. If you ever take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia, you better read the sign, respect the law and order, use of hard times. You'll be serving hard times. You know, the Big Boss Man who walked around line. You better watch out. You'll be serving all time. He carries a big stick, a ball and chain too. You better be trouble. He'll be looking after you. You'll survive time. Oh, anyway, Big Boss Man was a challenger for the Intercontinental title, and he was facing off against Mr. Perfect with Bobby the Brain Heenan in his corner. Lord Alfred Hayes had to do the match as a color man because Bobby the Brain Heenan was with Mr. Perfect, and this was a feud to culminate with Big Boss Man against the Heenan family because of the insults that Bobby the Brain Heenan was saying to the Big Boss Man's mother. This was a big match, about 10 minutes or so. Boss Man won by disqualification because of Haku and the Barbarian interfering, and also Andre the Giant came down and helped out the Big Boss Man. This was Andre the Giant's last WrestleMania appearance. It was a decent match. I'm surprised Boss Man did not get the Intercontinental title because a title cannot change hands in disqualification or counter. But with all the insults that Bobby the Brain Heenan was saying to Big Boss Man's matters and the build up of this feud, I thought a title change was going to happen, but it didn't happen. The next match was Earthquake with Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart against Greg the Hammer Valentine. This was kind of a squash by Earthquake in about 4 minutes. Originally, this match was going to be Greg the Hammer Valentine against the Honky Tonk Man, but the Honky Tonk Man got fired from the WWE in around January of 1991, and they stuck Earthquake in this match. It's kind of a little bit of a waste of Earthquake because he was still, a big heel in the WWE, but this was a kind of a step down for him, going to face Greg the Hammer Valentine, who just turned face, and I couldn't. Greg Valentine as a face was awful, in my opinion. The next match, LOD, Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, but they weren't called the Road Warriors around this time as well. Oh, what a rush! Wrestled against Power and Glory, Hercules and Paul Roma, with Slick as their manager. This match was a total squash. It only lasted 59 seconds. The Legion of Doom beat Power and Glory with the Doomsday device. They put Paul Roma up and they clotheslined him with the Doomsday device. 1, 2, 3. Squash match. And also, during this time, they had like Vince McMahon in a studio talking about instant replay if the WWE needs to use it. And they had on their panel George Steinbrenner and Paul Maguire, who was an announcer for football on NBC, and they were showing that, and then the thing was inconclusive because they had the videotape ripped up by the Bushwhackers. Whoa, yeah. This was just probably comedy stuff just to get the Bushwhackers on the pay-per-view. They didn't wrestle at WrestleMania 7. The next match was the Bodyguard Virgil with Rowdy Piper in his corner against $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. This was the start of the Virgil DiBiase feud because Virgil was Ted DiBiase's bodyguard valet for many years, but they broke up in Royal Rumble 91 with a big when Virgil knocked him out with the $1 Million belt. And this was a great match for Virgil, even though he had limited wrestling skills. He beat DiBiase by countout because DiBiase was chasing Rowdy Piper, who was on crutches, who suffered a legitimate accident on a motorcycle. It wasn't a phony wrestling injury. And Piper and Virgil were beating up the $1 Million Man. But then sensational Queen Sherry comes down and rescues Ted DiBiase because she needs a new man to manage it. Macho Man's now retired. So DiBiase and Sherry beat up Virgil and Piper, and DiBiase has a new manager. The next match was the Mountie. I'm the Mountie. I'm handsome, I'm brave, I'm strong. I'm the Mountie, 'cause I enforce the law. You could try to win, but you could never have, because I'm the Mountie. I always get my man. The Mountie was with his manager, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, facing off against Tito Santana. This was only about maybe a 90-second match. Mountie wins because he uses the shock machine on Tito Santana. This was just filler. And then the main event for the WWE World title, it was Sergeant Slaughter, the champion, with General Adnan against the Defender of America, Hulk Hogan. And guest commentating was Regis Philbin with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. This was a great match. It was over 20 minutes. Very, very competitive, back and forth. Slaughter tried to pin Hogan with the Iraqi flag, but Hogan got up. And he hulked up, and he beat Sergeant Slaughter with the leg drop and a 1, 2, 3. Hogan became the first wrestler ever to hold the WWE Championship on 3 separate occasions. Fans going wild. This was the highlight of WrestleMania 7. Afterwards, at the backstage area, Hogan was celebrating with Mean Gene, and then Slaughter throws a fireball in Hogan's face. That was the first time a fireball was used on WWE TV. What did I think about this pay-per-view? This pay-per-view, WrestleMania 7, was a very awesome pay-per-view. A lot of solid matches, especially the retirement match between Macho Man and Warrior, and the blindfold match, and a couple of other matches. But there was a lot of filler in this match. Filler time in this WrestleMania 7. There's 14 matches. This was the last time WrestleMania would have 14 matches for a very long time. And when they have a long WrestleMania, it seems drawn out. Half these matches should have been consolidated, in my humble opinion. And I think, especially the opening match, they should have had the Rockers face off against Demolition, because they had some great house show feud matches. And they could have had, like, the Orient Express against Tenryu and Kateo, 2 Japanese teams facing off, because the Orient Express had a solid match with the Rockers at the Royal Rumble 1991. Even though they lost, I'm surprised they were left off this pay-per-view. But, you know, that happens. I give this WrestleMania a 8 out of 10. It was probably one of the best WrestleManias to date, and it was, at the time, the highest rated WrestleMania of all time. More people watched it on pay-per-view than ever before. Buy rate was through the roof. And later on today, I'm going to review another WrestleMania, WrestleMania 8, which was held at the RCA Dome, or Hoosier Dome, in Indianapolis, Indiana, a double main event. Indiana is home to Larry Bird and Julie Plottin of Local 6, Orlando, Florida. She grew up in Indiana. Well, I'll tell you more about that today. And the third and final video blog of the night is a person I profile, which I'm profiling one of the greatest goaltenders in NHL history, Jacques Plante, who played most of his career with the Montreal Canadiens, and he was the first goaltender in the history of the National Hockey League to play a game wearing a face mask. See you later, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.